day, we make hundreds of small decisions starting with what time we wake up, to what we eat, and to how we spend our money, not knowing math is included in all of these decisions. In this video, we'll show you how mathematics connects to our daily lives from the arts of technology, decision making, and finance through the eyes of us Lasalians. Hi guys, welcome to a day in the life of a Lasalian Math Edition. So basically for today, we're going to show you how our day goes and how we can implement math in our everyday life as students.
We're here at the DLSU Art Museum to discover how math still exists in art and nature.
Take a look at this painting. At first, it just looks like an abstract city, right? But if you look closely, you'll see a lot of math hiding in the details. The tall shape that looks like buildings, those come from vertical and horizontal lines, basically geometry creating the feel of a skyline. The repeated blocks and strokes form patterns, which guide your eyes across the artwork, kind of like how sequences guide structure in math. And then there's the red sun. It's almost like a perfect circle, which is one of the most mathematical shapes you can use. It balances out all of the rough, rectangular structures under it. Even the whole composition feels balanced. Not exactly symmetrical, but stable, like visual equilibrium. So yeah, even though this painting feels chaotic and expressive, it's built on math, shapes, patterns, symmetry, and structure. Art is really math in disguise.
In the DLSU Museum, every curve, angle, and repetition shows how art and math come together, blending creativity with logic.
When we think of nature, we don't usually think of math. But if you take a closer look around here at the DLSU Amphitheater, you'll see it everywhere. The circular layout of the amphitheater follows geometric symmetry. The stairs from concentric arcs that are evenly spaced, like rings of a circle. This symmetry helps distribute sound evenly, allowing people to hear clearly no matter where they sit. Now look at the trees and plants around us. The way their branches are split or how the leaves are arranged follows a Fibonacci pattern. Each new branch grows at an angle that allows sunlight to reach every leaf, creating the most efficient spacing possible. Even the spirals you see in the flowers or the way vines curl around poles follow natural mathematical patterns. They grow in predictable sequences that make them both beautiful and functional. So whether it's in architecture or the plants around it, mathematics shape how nature stays balanced and harmonious, just like how this amphitheater brings together structure and life.
When you think of decision making, you probably don't think about that. But actually, in every choice we make, patterns, logic, and even probability is involved.
I use a simple method. If I have limited time, I rank my decisions and tasks by priority. I distinguish between what's urgent and what's important. That's decision science in real life, analyzing situations using logical order.
Even choosing a route to school involves math. As someone who studies in the LSU but lives in Quezon City, I have a lot of mode of transportation to choose from. But if I really need to be on time, I would take the LRT since it has the lowest probability of me being late.
Riding a Grab from Quezon City to Taft, there's a lot of cars which causes traffic and lots of stoplights to go through, which will take about an hour before I get to school. But by riding the LRT from Roosevelt to Vito Cruz, it allows me to commute for around 30 to 40 minutes only.
Decision science is about minimizing risk and maximizing efficiency, the kind of thinking we do every single day.
Like this, the forecast says 10% chance of rain, so I don't bring an umbrella. It's a small action, but it's based on probability.
Math helps us make smarter decisions. Now let's see how it also keeps our digital world safe.
When we log into our social media accounts, send messages, or even pay online, math is working behind the scenes to do something called encryption. Encryption is the process of turning readable data into an unreadable format to keep it safe from unauthorized access. It uses algorithms and a cryptographic key, so only those with the right key can unlock it. Just like in math, Encryption relates to isometries, symmetries, and patterns. An isometry changes a shape's position without altering its form, just as encryption changes how data looks without changing its meaning. Symmetry and patterns bring order and repetition, the same way encryption follows precise, structured steps to protect information.
Even passwords rely on math. When you create a password, it isn't stored as the word itself. Instead, it's converted into a long string of numbers and letters using a process called hashing.
That's why it's important to use strong passwords, because math literally protects your privacy. With two-factor authentication, you need a code sent to your phone. That's another mathematical layer of security.
Money management is one of the most practical uses of math. I divide my allowances into categories such as food, transport, and savings. And by tracking the amount I spend, I avoid overspending.
Math helps us make responsible choices, not just with numbers, but how we live.
Has definitely been a long day. So, what did we learn today?
That math is in the beauty of art and nature.
In every decision we make,
In the safety of our online world,
And in how we handle money.
It is now the next day, and I left early without my friends because we don't have the same Filipino class. But just to summarize and conclude, what I learned yesterday was that math isn't just numbers that we learn in school, but it's also useful and we make use of it every day, consciously or not. It helps us make better choices, see patterns and beauty in the world like nature and paintings, and even keep our digital lives safe. Seeing all this in my daily life really makes me realize that math has more meaning to it and is useful every day.
for me, I'll keep my answer concise. Throughout this course, what stood out to me most were logic, social choice, and coding theory. These topics helped me see how math connects to real-life decision-making, communication, and reasoning. Social choice showed how complex and sometimes unfair voting systems can be. Logic sharpened my ability to evaluate arguments, while coding theory revealed how digital messages and files stay accurate through error detection and correction. Social choice theory had the biggest impact because it explained why group decisions can feel unfair despite following the rules. Logic was easier and felt like solving puzzles, while coding theory was challenging but rewarding once I understood how it supports everyday technology. And in my three words, my experience was practical, insightful, and very useful.
to make my answer short and concise, logic helps me make clearer, more rational decisions. Investing teaches me how to handle financial risk. Social choices helps me to understand group decision making. And for next, Arrow's impossibility theorem stood out because it shows how no voting systems can actually be perfectly fair. It made me understand why group decisions in business can still feel complicated. Next, logic was the easiest since it was straightforward. Investing was moderate. Social choices was the most challenging because of its abstract fairness rule. Next, I became curious about behavioral investing because how emotions affect financial decisions because it connects psychology with business. And at last, the three words is challenging, insightful, and practical. Thank you.
So, in the field of business, the concepts I learned in this course helped me understand how borrowing and financing can support growth when used wisely. It showed me why cash flow management and choosing the right type of loan matters so much in keeping a business stable. Next is the topic that struck me the most was investing. I grew up hearing investment terms from my parents, but learning them in detail made everything feel more familiar. Understanding how people balance risk, plan for long term growth, and make strategic financial decisions was both exciting and eye opening. Overall, the lessons built on each other, making the next topic easier to understand. Still, some ideas like the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio were challenging and needed more time to fully grasp. And one concept that made me curious to explore further was logic, because it made me more interested in how people form decisions and why certain choices feel rational to them. And if I were to describe my experience in three words, it would be unpredictable, refreshing, and humbling.
For my reflection, especially for my programs such as business management, I realized that mathematics goes beyond the finance topics such as interest and amortization. So topics such as social choice, game theory, and graph theory are able to explain behaviors, decision makings, and even the systems put in place in business that I wouldn't have been able to see in the context of business. So like a concept that stood out to me was linear programming and how businesses are technically shaped by constraints such as time, power, and money, and so they're able to kind of work through and find efficient solutions around those constraints. And through my time in GE Math, while the lessons were fairly easy, I think if it weren't for the step-by-step tutorials or demonstrations that our professor taught us, I wouldn't be able to get the lessons easily. A concept that I became curious about was cryptography because it kind of allowed me to understand systems. And finally, if I were to describe GE Math in 3 words, it would be roller coaster, interesting, and insightful.
Concepts I learned in this course can be applied in business in many practical ways. Logic helps in decision making and problem solving, allowing me to analyze situations better. Borrowing and investing concepts like interest rates and amortization are useful for managing finances, planning loans, and making smart investments that can help in my family business as well. The concept that struck me the most was interest amortization in the borrowing and investing module. I found it interesting because it shows exactly how loans are paid over time. I find the concepts in this course very useful and practical for real-life situations, especially in business. Topics like basic logic were easy to understand because they relate to patterns and decision making that I have already encountered. Some financial calculations in investing like amortization schedules and compound interest were more challenging at first, but practicing examples made them easier. I became more curious about investing and financial planning, particularly understanding the types of loans and how to grow money through investments. I became interested because it directly affects how business can grow sustainably and how I can manage my finances smarter in the future. The 3 words that describe my experience in this course are useful and practical, because this course showed how math appears in real-life situations. For the 3rd word, it's insightful, because these topics helped us understand mathematics in a new way. We understand that math is not just about numbers and formulas, but a way of understanding patterns, improving decisions, and recognizing the structure behind the world around us.